Gotti brother, Big Jook, went on live and basically clowning young Dolph, man, and basically telling, if you don't want to f up your bag, come sign the CMG. Nah, y'all collected souls over that. I ain't with it. No, bro. But this shit sad, man.
When Yo Gotti's brother Big Jook got slaughtered outside that Memphis funeral in January 2024, the streets immediately pointed fingers at young Dolph's camp seeking revenge. But shocking claims now link Moneybagg Yo to the execution. Did CMG's biggest star betray his own family? And what role did he really play? I've got the full story. Let's get into it. The day Memphis lost a real one. Yo, when the word hit the streets that cold January morning in 2024, the whole hip-hop world went crazy, fam. Memphis, Tennessee, a city that's already been through way too much pain and bloodshed in the rap game, got hit with another tragedy that had everybody's head spinning. Anthony Big Jook Mims, the big homie and older brother of Memphis legend Yo Gotti, got smoked in what the police would later call a straight-up hit job, a calculated assassination that wasn't no accident. This wasn't just another body dropping in the streets. Nah, this was a deliberate setup, a professional move that sent shockwaves through every hood in Memphis and had the entire rap community asking questions that still ain't been answered.
So, man, hey y'all, I'm finna start a GoFundMe, man, cause I know a lot of you rap up out here, man. Can't do no shows, ain't save no money, so guess what? I'm gonna come say today. I'm gonna come pay you rent if y'all got somewhere to stay.
Let me break down the whole situation for y'all real quick, cause Big Jook wasn't just Yo Gotti's blood. My mans was a major player moving in silence. He was one of the main dudes behind Collective Music Group, the CMG camp that basically runs Memphis rap right now. Big Jook was the plug for a lot of these artists, the one scouting talent, putting people on, and making sure CMG stayed on top. We talking about him being instrumental in putting on artists like Moneybagg Yo, Black Youngsta, and Glorilla. These are names that's blowing up worldwide, and Big Jook had his fingerprints all over their come up. He wasn't trying to be in the spotlight like his little brother Gotti, but don't get it twisted. Big Jook was a boss moving behind the scenes, pulling strings and making major moves that shaped the whole Memphis sound.
He reached out, you know what I'm saying? Like Big Bro really like my mentor, tell me what I should do in situations. And he just really showed me the way.
So check it. On that Saturday afternoon, January 13th, 2024, Big Jook was at what was supposed to be a peaceful gathering, a funeral repast for a local cat named Eric E. Allen at Perignon Restaurant and Event Center. Everybody was there to pay respects, to mourn, to show love to the community. It was supposed to be one of them moments where the streets could come together in peace, but the ops had different plans, and what went down next turned that whole spot into a crime scene that the feds and the Memphis PD still trying to figure out. Word on the street, and from the initial police reports out of the Memphis Police Department, is that multiple shots just started ringing out while Big Jook was outside the venue. The shooters weren't there by mistake or on no random tip. Nah, fam, this was targeted. The authorities made it crystal clear from jump that this was a hit, plain and simple. These dudes rolled up with one mission, and they executed it in broad daylight, showing they wasn't scared of nothing or nobody. That's the type of brazen, calculated move that lets you know this wasn't no amateur hour. Big Jook caught multiple shots from the burner, getting hit several times by the spray. Another homie who was with him that day also got hit but survived, though he was in critical condition fighting for his life. But for Big Jook, there wasn't no coming back from that. They rushed him to the hospital, but the damage was too severe. Anthony Big Jook Mims was pronounced dead, leaving his whole family, the CMG crew, the Memphis community, and the entire music industry in shock and mourning. Now here's where things get real messy and frustrating for everybody trying to get justice. The Memphis PD quickly dropped surveillance images of what they believed was the getaway whip, a white Ford Explorer. Mad witnesses who was at the scene that day all said they seen this white truck peeling out from Perignon right after the shooting went down. The police put them pictures out there, hoping somebody would recognize the vehicle or come through with information that could lead them to the shooters. But here's the problem that's been plaguing this whole investigation since day one. The whip in the surveillance footage ain't have no visible license plate, no identifying features, no real way to track it down using regular methods. And yo, this is where we get to the most troubling part of this whole situation. As of August 2025, and we talking about over a year and a half after Big Jook got murdered in cold blood, the Memphis Police Department ain't publicly named not one suspect, not a single arrest been made, not one person been brought in for questioning, at least not that the public knows about. The investigation been described as ongoing by the officials, but to anybody watching from the outside looking in, this case looking like it's stuck in neutral, going nowhere fast. The MPD kept putting out calls to the public for help, telling people to hit up Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH if they know anything, promising they can stay anonymous and all that. But the street's been quiet on this one, and as we move into early 2026, when you search for updates on Big Jook's murder case, you find basically nothing new, no breakthroughs, no arrests, no justice being served, just another unsolved murder case that's joining the long, tragic list of bodies that keep dropping in Memphis hip-hop. But peep game, when law enforcement ain't got no answers and the case staying cold like that, it creates a vacuum, you feel me? And in this social media age we living in, when there's a vacuum like that, it gets filled with something. It gets filled with theories, with gossip, with rumors, and straight up cap. And that's exactly what happened after Big Jook got hit. The streets started talking heavy, social media went absolutely nuts with speculation, YouTube channels started pumping out video after video, each one making wilder and bolder claims about who did it, what the motive was, and who was about to get locked up. Some of these theories at least had a little bit of connection to the deep beef and rivalries that been brewing in Memphis rap for years. But other theories? Man, them was completely made up, designed to get clicks and views rather than actually spit facts or help people understand what really went down. To understand why this case became such a breeding ground for rumors and why certain names started getting thrown around immediately, you gotta understand the bigger picture of what been happening in Memphis hip-hop for years before Big Jook got clapped. This wasn't some isolated incident happening in a peaceful environment where everybody getting along. Nah, this was just the latest chapter in a saga of violence, street beef, and tragedy that been unfolding across Memphis for damn near a decade. The Memphis rap scene, which used to be celebrated for keeping it real and telling authentic street stories, had become known more for real-life violence that was taking lives at an alarming rate. We talking about more than a dozen incidents connected to rap beef since 2021 alone. The city's hip-hop community was dealing with actual street warfare, not just the lyrical beef that plays out in diss tracks and Instagram posts.
So Yo Gotti brother Big Jook went on live and basically clowning Young Dolph, man, and basically telling if you don't want to f up your bag, come sign the CMG. Nah, y'all collected souls over that. I ain't with it. No, bro. But this shit is sad, man.
And at the center of a lot of this violence was the beef that had been simmering for years. The rivalry between Yo Gotti's collective music group and the late Young Dolph's paper route empire. This wasn't just competition over who was the king of Memphis or who had the hottest tracks. This was something way deeper, way more dangerous, something that would end up costing multiple people their lives and tearing the Memphis rap community apart. Young Dolph, born Adolph Thornton Jr., had been one of the realest to ever do it out of Memphis, building his own independent empire through paper route and refusing to bow down to nobody. He was getting major bread staying independent, which was inspiring to a lot of young cats in the game. But on November 17th, 2021, Young Dolph got gunned down in broad daylight while he was just trying to buy some cookies at Makita's Homemade Butter Cookies in Memphis. The whole thing was caught on surveillance cameras, showing two dudes running into the store and opening fire, ending the life of one of Memphis's most talented and successful artists. The trials for Young Dolph's murder would reveal some absolutely explosive information that connects directly to Big Jook getting killed years later. During testimony in 2024 and 2025, prosecutors and witnesses, including one of the alleged shooters named Cornelius Smith, claimed that Big Jook himself had put a $100,000 bag on Young Dolph's head. This wasn't just street gossip or he said she said. This was testimony being given under oath in a court of law, with real consequences for lying. According to what came out in that courtroom, Big Jook had allegedly recruited a middleman named Hernandez Govan to coordinate the hit, and money supposedly changed hands for previous attempts on Young Dolph's people, including a cat known as Paper Route Woo. Phone records were presented showing communication between the parties around the time of the murder. The picture painted in that courtroom was one of Big Jook as a major player in the Yo Gotti Young Dolph beef, someone who had allegedly taken the rivalry from rap battles and social media jabs to actual street violence and murder for hire. But here's the crucial detail that makes Big Jook's own murder even more more suspect and raises all kinds of questions. He was never formally questioned by Memphis police about these allegations. He was considered a suspect in young Dolph's murder, but he got killed before investigators could even bring him in to ask questions. Think about the timing of all that, fam. Big Jook's name getting mentioned in court testimonies about orchestrating a hit on young Dolph, and just months after these allegations become public, he himself gets gunned down in what looks like a professional execution. The internet went crazy with the cap. Now yo, this is where our story takes a wild turn into the jungle of internet speculation and social media madness. Within hours of Big Jook's murder hitting the news and spreading through the hood, the rumor mill started spinning out of control, and one name that kept popping up over and over, spreading like wildfire across YouTube, Twitter, now X, Instagram, and every corner of hip-hop social media was Moneybagg Yo. Let's keep it 100 about who Moneybagg Yo is in all of this, cause it's important context. Demario Dwayne White Jr., who goes by Moneybagg Yo in the streets and on the charts, ain't just some random Memphis rapper. My mans is one of the biggest stars to come out of the CMG camp, signed by Yo Gotti himself back in 2016. Moneybagg Yo had been grinding hard in Memphis for years before that deal, building a loyal fan base with his raw street narratives and undeniable talent. But it was his relationship with Yo Gotti and CMG that really took him from local legend to mainstream success.
Well, you know, he labeled himself as the king of Memphis, and we both from Memphis. I just took over the city of Memphis, came through with that new wave, new sauce.
Tracks like Said Some became major hits that was playing in every whip and every club, and Moneybagg Yo established himself as one of the most commercially successful artists in the whole CMG roster. He collaborated frequently with Yo Gotti, including their joint mixtape 2 Federal, which was a major project showcasing their chemistry and proving they was a force together. More importantly, Moneybagg Yo was always publicly seen as a loyal soldier in the CMG family. He was tight with both Yo Gotti and Big Jook, often expressing mad gratitude for their mentorship, guidance, and support in helping him navigate the industry. So when Big Jook got murdered, Moneybagg Yo publicly mourned the loss like everybody else in the CMG camp. But despite this public display of grief and loyalty to the family, the internet had completely different ideas. Almost immediately after the shooting, videos started popping up on YouTube with explosive clickbait titles. We talking about videos claiming Moneybagg Yo indicted for Yo Gotti brother Big Jook and Moneybagg Yo arrested in connection to Big Jook murder. Some went even harder, alleging that Moneybagg Yo had been involved in setting Big Jook up, that he had connections to the getaway whip, or that there were internal disputes, and snake activity within CMG that led to Big Jook getting clapped. These weren't small channels making these wild claims either. Some of these videos racked up hundreds of thousands of views, spreading these allegations to massive audiences who was taking them as facts. Comment sections was going absolutely crazy, with people discussing Moneybagg Yo's alleged involvement, creating elaborate theories about his motives, and treating these rumors as confirmed information. The echo chamber effect of social media meant that once these claims were out there floating around, they took on a life of their own, being shared and reshared, discussed and debated in group chats and comment sections, until mad people just assumed there must be some truth to it. When you look at official police records, court documents, statements from the Memphis Police Department, or reports from credible news outlets like the Commercial Appeal, you won't find not one mention of Moneybagg Yo being arrested, indicted, questioned, or even named as a person of interest in Big Jook's murder. Not a single legitimate law enforcement source has connected him to this case in any way, shape, or form. The reality is that these rumors appear to have emerged from a toxic combination of factors. First, you got the general atmosphere of suspicion and speculation that surrounds any high-profile unsolved murder in the hip-hop community, especially in a city like Memphis where the streets talk heavy. Now, to understand why Moneybagg Yo's name might have even entered these conversations in the first place, we gotta talk about the complicated nature of Memphis street politics and how they intersect with the rap game. This is something Moneybagg Yo himself has been open about publicly, and it's crucial context for understanding the environment we discussing.
And I was in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? I was in Atlanta like the whole week doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Back and forth to Atlanta to Memphis.
And that's when you could really make your best work, right? It's like, I always feel like it, you know, it's never, sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not that first tape you putting out when you like shifting all your money towards it. It's like when you got that complete access to the stoop. Exactly. It's like, yo, I could pull up, I could stay there for as long as I want to, and like really, you know what I'm saying? I don't gotta worry about going to work tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is my job, you know what I'm saying? So like,
you gotta have this set in your head, like.
And I feel like you could hear that in the latest joint where it's like, this is 100% like what I want to do. how I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying?
This how I'm giving it to you all the way raw. You know what I'm saying? You gonna
Straight
feel
like
it
that.
or not? You know what I'm saying?
So let's talk about that Heartless a little more. So you said that you lost friendships and relationships just being on the road. You know what I'm saying? Being gone.
Nah, just not being on the road. Like, you don't understand, like, the situation with Yo Gotti. Like, we don't even supposed to be doing it. Like, I'm finna break it down to you.
Yeah.
Like, alright, in Memphis, right? It's two sides, like more than two sides, but he from North Memphis. You know what I'm saying? North side of Memphis. I'm from South Memphis. It's a hood in South Memphis. Walking homes, we don't get along, period, with that side. You know what I'm saying? With his side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They, you know what I'm saying, bump heads all the time. You know what I'm saying? Just by me doing that deal, that situation and seeing a bigger vision, they didn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't understand like the opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is like,
Bigger
for
than
you to
this
make
shit.
millions, like, it's bigger than this shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like, cut this shit out. Like, nobody didn't get killed over this shit anyway. Like, leave it alone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep going.
In this revealing interview where he kept it all the way real, Moneybagg Yo explained that Memphis is divided along neighborhood and territorial lines that run deep. Yo Gotti is from North Memphis, while Moneybagg Yo is from South Memphis, specifically from an area called Walking Homes. Historically, these hoods didn't get along at all. There was tension, there were beefs, there was the kind of street-level conflict that defines life in many urban communities across America. So, when Moneybagg Yo signed with Yo Gotti's CMG label, it wasn't just a simple business decision. It was a controversial move that some people from his own Hood saw as straight-up betrayal and switching sides.
So they
know what I'm
almost
saying?
looking like, yo, you with the ops. No,
Yeah,
man.
that's exactly. Other side, over there.
Like, my nigga, like, I got a chance to make $1 million,
it's
bro.
cool.
Like,
You gonna look at me like that? Cool. You wanna know my anyway.
Moneybagg Yo lost real friendships and relationships over his decision to sign with CMG and link up with Gotti. People he grew up with, people from his own neighborhood who he considered day ones, started looking at him sideways, viewing it as him with the ops, linking up with the opposition and going against his own. But as Moneybagg Yo explained in that interview, he made a conscious choice to see the bigger picture, to pursue the opportunity to get money and build a real career rather than stay trapped in neighborhood beefs that hadn't even resulted in nobody getting killed or serious violence between the parties involved. The truth is that Moneybagg Yo has consistently shown nothing but loyalty to Yo Gotti and the whole CMG family. He's spoken publicly on multiple occasions about how Yo Gotti mentored him, guided him through the industry, and helped him navigate situations that could have completely derailed his career or even cost him his life. There's no credible evidence of any internal dispute between Moneybagg Yo and Big Jook, no falling out, no beef, no motive that would make any kind of sense for him to be involved in such a heinous and tragic act. Consider the situation with Memphis rapper BEO Lil Kenny, also known as Kenny G. In late 2025, Kenny got arrested after a police chase where he tried to evade the cops, drove recklessly through the city, and ultimately ended up hiding in some bushes before being apprehended by police. He was charged with evading arrest, reckless driving, and possession of a controlled substance. These are serious charges that could get you real time, but they had absolutely nothing to do with Big Jook's murder case. Similarly, there have been videos claiming that Yo Gotti himself had reacted to his brother's killer being arrested, showing emotional footage of Gotti from completely different contexts and presenting it as if it was his response to justice being served. These too have been debunked as complete lies and cap, with no supporting evidence from any law enforcement agency indicating that anyone has been arrested in this case. The pattern is crystal clear when you really look at it. In the absence of real information and official updates, fake information and rumors rush in to fill the void. And when you're dealing with a high-profile murder in the hip-hop community, especially in a city like Memphis with its history and culture, there's apparently no shortage of people willing to spread that fake information for profit, clout, or attention. What really went down in these streets. So now that we've established what's cap and what's facts, let's talk about the actual story here, the one that's based on verifiable evidence and credible reporting from legitimate sources. Because while the Moneybagg Yo arrest rumors are completely unfounded and baseless, the real story of Big Jook's murder and its connection to the broader Memphis rap wars is actually way more complex and troubling than any clickbait headline or YouTube video could capture. The most compelling theory about who killed Big Jook and why comes directly from the testimony testimony and evidence that was presented in the Young Dolph murder trials. Remember, during those court proceedings, multiple witnesses and prosecutors alleged that Big Jook had placed a $100,000 bag on Young Dolph's head, essentially ordering the hit that would end Dolph's life. This wasn't just casual street gossip or speculation. This was testimony being given under oath in a court of law, with phone records, witness accounts, and other evidence to support the claims. Cornelius Smith, one of the men accused of actually being one of the shooters in Young Dolph's murder, testified that he had received payments from Big Jook for prior attempts on Dolph's people, including an unsuccessful hit on someone known as Paper Route Wu, who was part of Dolph's crew. The testimony painted a vivid picture of Big Jook as someone who was actively orchestrating violence against Young Dolph and his Paper Route Empire squad, using intermediaries like Hernandez Govan to coordinate the attacks and keep his own hands relatively clean. Now, Hernandez Govan was actually acquitted in August 2025 of organizing Young Dolph's killing, which was a major development in the case. But the testimony about Big Jook's alleged involvement remained part of the public record and court documents. And here's what's so significant about the timing that everybody needs to understand. Big Jook got murdered in January 2024, right as these trials were heating up and this explosive information was becoming public knowledge and spreading through the streets. He was killed before he could ever be formally questioned by police about his alleged role in Young Dolph's death. The theory that emerges from all of this evidence and testimony is pretty straightforward, even though it's tragic as hell. Big Jook's murder was retaliation. It was revenge from Young Dolph's camp, his family, his crew, or his associates for his alleged role in ordering the hit on Dolph. This theory has the most evidence supporting it out of any explanation that's been put forward by people analyzing this case. It fits the timeline perfectly. It fits the motive clearly. It fits the pattern of retaliatory violence that has plagued Memphis hip-hop for years and continues to this day. But even with this theory being the most plausible and backed by the most evidence, we gotta acknowledge that it remains unproven in a court of law. The Memphis Police Department has not publicly confirmed any motive for Big Jook's murder. They have not named any suspects. They have not made any arrests. They have not brought anybody in for questioning, at least not publicly. The case remains officially unsolved, and without arrests, a trial, convictions, and the whole legal process playing out, we can't say with absolute certainty what happened or who was responsible for taking Big Jook's life. There are other possibilities that have been discussed in various circles, though they have way less evidence supporting them than the retaliation theory. Some people have suggested that Big Jook's murder could have been unrelated street violence, a personal dispute that had nothing to do with the rap industry beefs and politics. Memphis, unfortunately, has high rates of violent crime in certain areas, and targeted shootings do occur for reasons that have nothing to do with the music business or rap beef. However, given Big Jook's high profile, his position in CMG, and the timing of his death in relation to the Young Dolph trial revelations, most people who really know what's going on find this explanation less convincing than the retaliation theory. Let's talk about what we actually do know about Moneybagg Yo's history with law enforcement, because it's relevant to understand his actual background and street history versus the wild rumors. Moneybagg Yo's most significant documented police encounter occurred on March 13, 2016, when Tipton County Sheriff's deputies ran up in his CD release party at the former Maserati Club in Mason, Tennessee.
More importantly, how did you want it to be different from before?
Like every time I drop a tape, I always feel if it's like my music should elevate. They should see differences. Like every time I drop, they need to see different. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just feel like, when I go in with this tape, I had that mentality, like there's still that hunger that I had when I first dropped Federal. You know what I'm saying? I gave them extra sauce on it. You know what I'm saying? I put the extra, you know what I'm saying? The extra bag sauce on it.
That night, authorities specifically targeted criminal activity, violence, probation, and parole violators, and gang presence at the event. They ended up arresting 28 people total, including Moneybagg Yo himself, on drug and gun charges. Deputies seized 10 loaded firearms, including handguns, a .223 rifle, and a 9mm submachine gun, along with a bulletproof vest, cash, drugs, and they identified members of various gangs including Vice Lords, Gangster Disciples, Bloods, and Crips who were present at the event. Moneybagg Yo bonded out quickly and even posted celebratory photos on Facebook afterward, showing he wasn't too pressed about the situation. No further court outcomes from this case have been detailed in public reports, suggesting the charges either didn't stick or were resolved without major consequences consequences that would affect his career. This was early in his come-up, before his major success with CMG really took off, and it's the kind of incident that's not uncommon for artists coming from street backgrounds and environments where this type of activity is normal. In August 2017, there was another incident where Moneybagg Yo was traveling in a black Sprinter van to a performance in Newark, New Jersey, when somebody opened fire on the vehicle at a New Jersey Turnpike rest stop. Two of his companions in the van were injured in the shooting and had to be treated for their wounds. Moneybagg Yo himself was unharmed and blessed to walk away without getting hit, but was questioned by police at the scene about what happened. He was not arrested or charged with anything related to the incident, and no suspects were ever publicly identified in that shooting. This appeared to be a case of him being the target, not being the aggressor or shooter. More recently, in January 2026, rapper Finesse 2 Times made public allegations that Moneybagg Yo had snitched and tipped off police, leading to Finesse 2 Times' drug arrest in Texas. These remain completely unproven accusations with zero evidence to support them, and importantly, no charges against Moneybagg Yo himself have come from these claims or allegations. For comparison, let's look at Yo Gotti's documented history with law enforcement to get the full picture. Gotti, who was raised in the Ridgecrest housing projects in Memphis, has spoken openly about having a street background with early convictions referenced in general terms, including aggravated assault and weapons-related offenses in his youth. But specific public records and media coverage focus primarily on a high-profile incident from November 29, 2010. That night, outside Level 2 nightclub in Memphis, a verbal argument between Yo Gotti and another rapper named OG Boo Dirty escalated into a full melee and shooting that wounded 6 people. Shots hit people in the buttocks, wrist, shoulder, and ankle. Yo Gotti faced an arrest warrant for aggravated riot, and OG Boo Dirty was charged with inciting to riot and aggravated riot. Multiple others were arrested or had warrants issued in connection with the incident. Yo Gotti turned himself in after the warrant was issued, showing he wasn't running from the situation. However, all charges against him were dropped and cleared by January 2011. This is significant because it shows Yo Gotti's pattern and how he moves. He's been involved in situations. He's had charges brought against him, but they haven't stuck or resulted in convictions. He's built a successful business empire with CMG while navigating the complex world where street credibility and legitimate business intersect. In 2017, a close associate of Yo Gotti's named Corey McClendon was arrested and charged with attempted murder in the shooting of young Dolph outside a Los Angeles hotel. Yo Gotti himself was not charged in connection with this incident, but it shows the ongoing tensions and real street violence that surrounded the Yo Gotti young Dolph beef and rivalry. Yo Gotti has faced ongoing allegations tied to the broader CMG versus Paper Route Empire conflict over the years, with various diss tracks going back and forth, bounty rumors flying around, and suggestions of involvement in violence, but he has not been arrested or charged in young Dolph's murder or any related violence that's gone down. His public record emphasizes cleared cases and his successful transformation from street credibility to legitimate businessman and label executive. And what about Big Jook himself and his history? Interestingly enough, Big Jook had no publicly documented prior criminal convictions or arrests mentioned in any major reports or court records before the Young Dolph case entered the picture. He was primarily known in a business capacity within CMG as an executive, talent scout, and promoter who moved behind the scenes. His main interaction with law enforcement came from being named as a suspect in the Young Dolph murder investigation based on trial testimony and evidence, but he was never formally interviewed or charged before his death cut that investigation short. Federal investigations have also touched various aspects of CMG and related entities over the years. There have been seizures of assets, including a $428,000 Bentley potentially linked to the Dolph case and other ongoing investigations. These investigations add another layer of complexity to an already tangled and messy situation, but they haven't directly resulted in charges related to Big Jook's murder or brought the family any closer to justice. Yo Gotti himself has remained largely silent about his brother's death publicly, instead focusing on his business ventures and success, including his restaurant Privy in Memphis and other investments. This silence is understandable when you think about it. What is there really to say when the person who allegedly killed your brother, if the retaliation theory is correct, was potentially acting in response to your brother's alleged killing of their person? It's a vicious cycle of violence that has no real winners, only more grieving families, destroyed lives, and communities torn apart.